going on, guys? This is boy Jeameave back in with another video of Views from the Heart. If you're new to the channel and enjoy what you're seeing, feel free to browse my other videos as well as subscribing because it really helps me out. With that being said, today I'm bringing you 5 things that I hate, or rather dislike, about the 2019 Audi S5 Sportback. Remember, this is the Sportback. This is not the regular S5 design or S5 Coupe. This is Audi's newer contemporary design involving 4 doors a la BMW Grand Coupe or Mercedes. Well, they technically just call it Coupe with 4 doors. Doesn't make sense to me either, but Audi calls it Sportback. So that being said, let's check out these 5 things that I dislike about the 2019 Audi S5 Sportback. Let's go. So these are 5 things that I hate, or rather dislike, about a 2019 Audi S5 Sportback. Right off the bat is I don't really like how there is dynamic, which is Audi's version of sport, as well as individual. When you first jump into this car and you put it into dynamic, there is no option to force the car to be sporty. And the reason why I say this is because even though it's technically in sport, all the settings for it is based on auto. And I would assume that when it's in auto, it's based upon the way that you're driving. So let's say if you want to be in sport settings at all times, the car is going to be uncomfortable if you're not, you know, conveying sporty driving. And that to me is not really ideal, because when I come in here and I flick into sport, I would prefer something to where I can just click and it's all the settings are already right there. Well, you can say, well, Jeameave, that's why there's individual. Yes, there is individual, and yes, the reason why I figured out why I started to like this car a lot more than my initial thoughts is the fact that I put it in individual and forced the car to be in dynamic for everything. The steering, the suspension, the transmission response, everything. I had to force the car to be in sporty for it to give me the sporty feedback that I was looking for. And Kyle, because like, you remember when I told you how this, when I first jumped in and put it into dynamic, I was a little bit unthrilled. I was just sitting here and I was kind of like,
it was a little
it didn't feel it didn't feel right for it to be in sport mode, but yet it not feel sporty. But you can tell right away that as soon as that was so weird, but as you can tell right away that as soon as you decide to put it into individual and change and force everything to be in dynamic, it really made a dual personality of the car and really started to make me enjoy it. So to recap is the fact that you have to force the car to be sporty for it to really be sporty, and you have to do so manually and adjust it in individual. Don't expect it to put it into dynamic and it feel the way that it is right now unless you go to individual and forcefully do so. So number 2 of the things that I personally don't like about this vehicle, or at least Kyle personally, because you know he's more of an abnormally tall human. Kyle, can you please remind the people again, how tall are you exactly?
I'm 6'4".
So he is 6'4", and how do you feel in here overall?
I mean, front seat's not bad. My head kind of hits the top if I really sat up. But the back seat, I'm way too cramped. My head hits the top. It's just not, it's not tall friendly, you know? Literally,
Kyle cannot sit behind himself.
The back seat would not work.
As you can see in this segment here. So Kyle, would you be comfortable sitting behind your own self?
In the back seat, no way. I'm 6'4". I'm too cramped back here. I'm hitting my head on the ceiling. My knees are in the back of the chair.
Let's take a look at that for the people. Remember, 6'4", headroom, terrible.
Bad, yep.
Knee room,
worse.
Worse. So you'd be very uncomfortable. Damn. Well, that's the Sportback for you. So as you guys saw, Kyle is 6'4", and unfortunately, especially with the sloping roof line of this car, it takes a lot away from your headroom, as well as the sporty nature of it, trying to be a little bit more concise and compact. The knee room as well is not ideal. But even for me, although I can fit, it's also something that I feel a little claustrophobic in. Even when I'm sitting, even if I were to sit behind someone of Kyle's height, it wouldn't feel that good to me. And I would go as far as to say as well, especially due to his headroom, that Kyle would still be uncomfortable even sitting behind me. I'm about 5'4", 5'5", so Kyle would still be uncomfortable even though you would have a little bit more knee room. His head, he'd be sitting like this. So that's just not good at all. Number 3 of the things that I don't like in here is that it's not necessarily, the power for it would be ideal for most people, but as someone that has a faster car than this, and just what I think this car should come with from the factory, I feel like this car would be most ideal with 400 horsepower. It is a little on the porky side, just a little bit, with 3,700 pounds. Not the heaviest, but not the lightest either. You know, for obvious reasons, this is not some sort of ridiculous sports car for it to really be way less, you know, I guess. But you can feel the added weight, because this is about 200 pounds more than my car, and I can venture to say that I can feel it a little bit more, especially with having an added passenger and Kyle in here. The car does feel fairly nimble for what it is contextually, but it definitely, I feel like 350 horse is just a little too little for the stature of this car. I feel like this would be most comfortable at 400 horsepower. So number 4, as well as it not being tall friendly, and what I kind of already touched on, is the fact that it's not very friendly in the rear seats for even people that aren't necessarily tall. It's something that you'd, especially if you are claustrophobic and have issues with more confined spaces, you're probably not gonna have a very good time in the back seats. Can you get away with it in a pinch? Yes, absolutely. But is it something that you'd want to sit in on a daily basis, or subject someone to that is not necessarily a child? You're probably not going to have the best of times in the back. Again, as aforementioned, Kyle cannot fit behind himself, and he is 6'4". So if you're a tall family and you carry around tall people, this is probably going to not make the cut for you. It's going to be a tight fit. It's going to be a very, very tight and uncomfortable fit. However, and even so, even if you have someone that is like, are you gonna turn or what? What are you doing? Like, even if you have someone that is of my height and you have a taller person behind me, it's still going to be not the best experience for them, especially because of the fact that of the sloping roof line just takes away so much. Yep. And even when you're on the shorter side like me, you're going to feel a little too cramped overall. You feel like you can't really breathe too much. So number 5 of the things that I personally don't like about this vehicle is that I feel that for the price point of this particular one, which is at around $71,000, $70,000, yep, the interior, while don't get me wrong, it is a lovely interior. It is a great interior, but I feel like this price point is just a little just not there. It's missing. I feel like Alcantara could be on the dashboard. It just make it just a little bit better. I feel like it's just a little bit too much, and I only said that because Audi does a great job across the board of providing fantastic interior. If you check out my Audi A4 review, you can tell that apart from the door sills having, you know, Alcantara on it in this car, and carbon fiber panels on this car, inlays as opposed to the natural grain wood in the A4, is really, and the sport seats, there's really not that much difference. Yeah. Aesthetically, it appears the same. Comfortability and overall how well put together the interior in the car is, there's not a significant difference. It's literally the same, and that's why I said that the A4 is probably the best bang for the buck that you can get in terms of looking for something that offers great luxury with decent pet. Mm-hmm. So for this car, I feel like just if it just added a little bit more, like again, like Alcantara leather wrapped dashboard, it would be probably enough for me to say, okay, besides the horsepower alone could justify the interior of this car. Again, don't misconstrue my words. It's not a bad interior by any means. It's just when you start getting to the $70,000 price bracket, that's $22,000 more than the A4. So if you go and look at my A4 review and look at what's in here, is it really $22,000 worth of an interior difference? I don't know. Personally, I wouldn't say so. So that being said, this vehicle is courtesy of Santa Monica Audi. Once again, thank you so much, Kyle, for this opportunity.
Of course.
Feel free to check them out, especially hit them up on Instagram.
At Santa Monica Audi on Instagram and Twitter.
And you heard it there first. Once again, thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't already and enjoyed what you're seeing, feel free to subscribe and support your boy. So that being said, it's your boy Jeameave. Feel free to subscribe again, because I just want to put that in. It's YouTube law, subscribe. But I'm just kidding. So with that being said, it's your boy Jeameave. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out.